Next, we're going to talk about adding watercolor paint to what we're doing. So what I've done so far is I have taken my original drawing that I did and I've traced it onto heavier watercolor paper. So I've done that with my profile portrait as well as with the horse that I drew with my light that I made the frame for. I will more than likely color this black with a Sharpie or with paint when I'm done. And first I want to do a really light wash of color in the background. So I don't want to lose my pencil lines. So I'm going to dip my brush in water. I fill a bowl of water about halfway. I dip the brush in water, I drip. Dip and drip on the lip. Can you remember all that rhyming? Dip, drip on the lip. We never tap because, as you just saw, probably it splashed across the table. So just dip and drip. Now with clean water, I'm first just going to wet the paper. I just want water here to help move the paint around. We're gonna do what's called a wet on wet application for this particular technique. So now I'm gonna take some color I wanna add. I'm gonna add a little tiny bit of red. So I dip the brush again, I wet the watercolor paint. Remember, watercolor paint is dry when you first touch it, so I have to add water to activate it. And I'm only dipping the brush and tickling like it's a feather. That's what I relate the brush. Pretend the brush is a feather and you're just tickling the tip of the feather onto the paint. You never want to dig it in and gouge it down and get the paint up to the ferrule, which is the metal here, okay? It's not good for the brush or the paint. Swirl it around the edges. There's lots of paint on those edges. Now I am going to do a color gradation. I'm going to start with red at the top. And because I wet my paper, it's bleeding down. And I'm picking it up. You'll see I'm tipping it this way. I'm having gravity help me bring that paint down the page a bit. So I'm starting with a little red. Now, get that moving. If there's not enough water, you can clean your brush and touch a little bit more water there. I'm gonna switch to violet. I'm gonna wet the paint with the tip of the brush, and I'm going to brush violet across. And I want this to all drip together. And for a minute, I'm gonna lay it flat because I wanna sort of smear this around a bit more to the edges. I'm gonna let that go fade out. If you want to have the red and the violet or whatever two colors you're doing blend more, just clean your brush and with just water, just sort of brush across like that. Now I'm gonna pick it up again. I'm gonna go to my next color. I'm gonna go to blue next. And again, I want my violet and blue to mix. I'm just gonna go back in and brush over. And you see that because this is light, translucent paint, I'm having no problem with seeing my pencil lines right through it. You'll notice again, I'm working over a placemat so that I don't have to worry about being gentle on my edges. I can just brush right off. So now I'll let this dry completely. So that means I have to wait until next class before I do anything else to it. It needs to dry. And when it is all dry, I'll go into the portrait itself, either with a black Sharpie marker or another color Sharpie if I want, or with the paint if I can be neat around those detailed edges. But that is how you do a background wash, just blending color to color. Remember to use a lot of water to get the paint moving, and if you tilt the paper as you work, it'll help pull the paint down with the gravity, okay?